Hello, this is Joseph Wilcox doing Unit 7, Assignment 1, carrying on after I just did United Nations. I'm now doing European Union. So when was the organisation created? It was created in November of 1993, and it was the cause which created it was after the Second World War. A unity between Germany and France broke out, so they moved together and laid foundations for European Union for decades later. So really, it started a long time before 1993, but it became known as the European Union then, because after the Second World War, France and Germany became close and kind of agreed to work together, and then throughout the years, different local countries nearby joined together, and eventually, once it became so big, they decided that they need to call it European Union, or they needed to brand it so that everybody knew that it was actually a power and not just a bunch of countries coming together ready to fight. So when they came together, they had they had similar aims. So that was promotion of peace and well-being of the citizens of United Nations. And they wanted it to be an area for freedom and security, but having justice, so things won't be going unpunished, yet they will still have freedom to do as they please as long as they don't break rules. That's the citizens that lived in the European Union. So then we also want to make a economic growth and social justice, so that will grow not just in their separate countries, but as a European Union, so with the countries around them, that they could grow together in order to work together. So the European Union, it operates a single market, which basically allows different citizens from different countries included in the European Union to travel between the countries freely without passport, without having a visa, as it allows better trading, which, as you hear a lot on the news, as we're debating the European Union, it boosts stuff like farmers trading to the European Union and other clothes trading and livestock trading, and a lot of trading moves in between us and the European Union, members of the European Union. This is because obviously Asia, Africa, North America, South America, they're all further away, and we just do it with them for two reasons. One, because we're close to them, and two, because the European Union allows trading to flow in order to create millions of jobs, because the exports between EU and UK and the imports made over 3 million British jobs because of it. So if we talk about the EU trading and goods moving in between the two, then millions of jobs will be lost. The EU's also prevented wars between countries within the EU, as peace has been between the countries ever since World War II, ever since the finish of World War II. So it has really achieved what it was set out to do. So then, the organisation has fulfilled its aims, yet it's always ongoing, because they're always fighting another threat. For example, working together against terrorism. That's an ongoing threat, whether you're just looking at an organisation like ISIS or Al Qaeda. There's always some other terrorist group stepping up. So you have to deal with those threats, whether to attack them, let them grow, or what to do with them, how to destroy their ideology. That is what the EU discuss and come to agreements on. So the EU, it isn't really working. It isn't really working everywhere in the world today. I would say it's a European Union, so it's in all the different countries. But one of the main things that they are doing nowadays is trying to help out other EU countries that are in financial difficulties. For example, Greece. they've been in a lot of financial difficulty, and their economy is kind of going down the drain, as they're struggling to keep everything still running with the currency drop and inflation and all the other stuff. So they're trying to help bail them out, and in order to keep them a strong country, so that they can be part of the EU and not have to go to such bad third world countries sort of ending. So then, the impact on the UK public services, it has a massive impact, because we have a large peacekeeping missions, because they say in the EU we go over to other countries to do peacekeeping, same as the European Union, same as the United Nations, the EU do the same. We've done. We often go over to other countries in aid, to give aid in natural disasters, things like that, to help with European Union, and this is where we will go over and rebuild schools and hospitals and other places for communities to be able to keep on growing. That's one. Another thing is going out to other countries to fight in wars or conflict, if anything arises. Like fighting the war on terror, we are doing our part in that, and it changes depending on what comes up and what's a threat to the European Union. So then, fire service and police, paramedics, they all go over to provide relief for that country's public services in a time of disaster. So if there's been a natural disaster or another disaster in the country, we will send our public services, not just the army over, but the other public services to go over and help the countries out. So then, I'm going to explain the following roles of the different parts of the EU. So the European Parliament. Parliament is like the House of Commons, as I just said, European Parliament. This is where people from every selected state or country come together in order to form the Parliament, and this is where laws are created and discussed, so they all have votes, they all have says, and this is where different topics and subjects will be discussed, and this is how new laws are passed. Because if you want to bring out a new law on the percentage of tax on trading, then it'll all go through there, it'll all be discussed, the pros and cons will be talked about it, and the different people from different countries will actually put in their say from their country. So the best act or the best foreign or say will come out of it, what should actually be a well-rounded one, which would suit everybody and help everybody thrive. So then, the European Commission. So then, the European Commission, responsible for proposing legislations and things like implementing decisions. The European Commission, it upholds EU treaties and kind of runs the everyday business of the European Union. Yes, it's similar to European Parliament in the legislations can go through it and they'll suggest them and implementing decisions, what laws should be passed and what laws will be passed, and they'll pass them through and put them into effect. But the European Commission also just does the everyday running and peace talks and all that with of the EU through this. So then, the Council of Ministers, Council of Ministers. This is a name given to one of the main parts of the EU. Basically, it's equivalent to a cabinet which we have in the United Kingdom. We have a cabinet where councils come together and it's led by a president or prime minister, which we have, and this is the official name for the body that actually discusses laws and everything. So this is similar to European Parliament, apart from it's on a slightly smaller scale, because this is where there's 60 to 80 ministers or so, with a prime minister or president, as they call it, responsible for what's being talked and what's going through European Parliament. This is where they can put across their side for their country or their state, and usually composed of ministers that are elected by the United Kingdom and other states and countries to go and talk in Europe about what's going on and how they can deal with it. So then, the European Court of Justice, or just Court of Justice, this is highest court in the European Union, where basically, as I've kind of briefly touched on before, it's where countries from the EU will be brought there, or states will be brought into the Court of Justice if they are not abiding by their laws, their own laws, or laws set by the European Union. And this is just to make sure that the civilians in each of the countries in the European Union are actually being treated with the rights that they should have and that they're not being taken away from them. They'll also interpret the EU law to make sure that everybody is equal and that it'll work across all states and countries to make sure that it doesn't just apply to the main countries, that it'll apply to the poorer countries and vice versa. So then, that is European Union. Thank you.